Hey guys, welcome to my Patreon. This is a little weird for me as I'm not whispering for one. I'm going to be smoking for two. I want this video to be real and raw. That was the whole point of this. I'm going to explain a little bit and then we'll get right into the video. So give me like 3 minutes. It's a little bit weird that I'm filming, excuse me, for a smaller group of people, like over I think 900 something compared to 176,000 and it makes me a lot more nervous filming for you guys because you're actually paying $1 every month to watch me talk and or make videos. So I want to just real quick, first off, I am going to be smoking. I'm in a loft right now, so it goes right out the window. It's like a little side room on my house. So if you hear coal trucks, forgive me. But, so I've been going through a little bit. I'm actually going to post an update, a separate video from this, on the channel that I post these videos on, which is Karina Satori Basic. So I'll post it and if you guys want to watch it. But long story short, I go through really bad depression and anxiety, and that's no excuse for promises to other people. But you'll notice, like, I'm just really not good at keeping promises in regards to video scheduling and everything else. Now, you'll probably wonder, why is she posting on her main channel compared to this channel where I'm actually paying for it? And I guess that is because I can choose to make a video a day or 2 videos depending on where I'm filming. Right now I'm at home. My mother's having company over, so I am stuck here. I'm a 26-year-old girl who can't get a studio room, so she films at her mommy's, and but yeah, you get it. So I just really apologize, and you know, I don't know what I'm gonna do because I don't want to shut down my Patreon. Like I said, I originally made it because 30% of my revenue got cut during the revenue cuts, adpocalypse as they call it, whatever, please. So this is an extra form of income for me, and I'm very blessed. No matter how many people choose to support me on here, I'm grateful. But again, because of maybe some of the extremely sexual things I'm going to be talking about and some of the extremely sexual videos that I post, I keep this on Patreon because I don't want to say that my content's worth money because it's not. It's like literally me, like, again, making this for extra form of support. That's it. But I very, very, very much in the upcoming, or the past months, have started to really enjoy my sexuality and sex and things like that. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. So thank you for the 3 minutes. We're hitting the 3-minute mark in 1 second. So I got my 3 minutes out of the way, so let's get into the video. I probably explained nothing to you right there other than I truly am sorry. Now you'll probably think, oh, if she was truly sorry, she would do stuff to fix it. Depression is honestly like the friend you don't want around in your friend group that's just constantly there, that it's like you enjoy their company, but at the same time you wish they would just go away, but they kind of stick. Do you know what I mean? That's how depression is to me. So today's video I'm going to be talking to you guys about, this was a requested video. I have 2 requested videos on my Patreon, one being this one to talk about my first times, advice in regards to how I enjoy sex and to give you guys advice, and then there was another request for an exam, like a gynecologist type thing, only it could be male and female, and then slowly become unprofessional, and I'm slowly getting comfortable enough to do that. I know videos of mine have already been leaked in regards to my Patreon, which very much kind of sort of upsets me, because I was like very much and then I slowly go down like it does. It upsets me because it's one thing on my main YouTube channel for my stuff to get leaked, because I'm making revenue from ads, but you guys are actually paying for that, and what's the point if people are leaking to donate $1? Oh my god, here we go with that person down the street in their car. But anyway, so yeah, I'm going to be talking about my first time today. Now, I did speak a little bit about it being legal or not, in regards to when it happened. See, I was 13 when I had my first true sexual experience with a female, but I was molested from the ages of 9 to 11 or 12. I don't remember much from those years, so you'll always see the age kind of vary from 9 years old to like 11 or 12. It's like, but it was definitely for 2 years on. And that did ruin a lot of my sexual things for me. Again, it was first with a boy who did obviously molest me, and I didn't like it. So whenever I met a girl at 13, she was my best friend. I offered. I don't know. I think I seen like a snuff film on my pap's television of a girl going down on a girl, and I don't even know. Like, it's weird. I don't know where I got it from that I wanted to do this to a girl, but that's kind of what happened. I'm not going to get into very deep details here because we were young. We were 13. Um, I kind of eased her into it. She wanted it. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, we were kids. Like, I wanted to do it to her for some reason. It really much gave me pleasure at that age, which is very unfortunate because when I was 14, I lost my virginity to a male. But what's interesting is the sexual times that I had with females were way more, I would very much feel good. I don't want to say the O word because it just doesn't fit with, that kind of thing. So anyway, that's basically what happened is she was my best friend. One night she slept over and you know how kids are, like they just mess around and stuff. And I kind of was like, hey, have you ever heard of this? Would you like this? And that's how it happened. And it was very pleasurable. I do not, and luckily there cannot be anybody on my Patreon who is young. If you are, for some reason, got a hold of your mom's credit card and donated $1, I would very much appreciate if you just waited. I don't condone things like that. My sexuality was brought on at 9 years old, and very traumatizing. It can ruin a lot for when you're older, for the feelings you're experiencing then compared to now, where you have to do, you know what I mean? It's bad. So, but that was my first time with a female, and again, my first time with a male was whenever, I don't consider the molestation, but whenever I was 14. When I was 9, I lost my virginity anally. The molestation turned into physical contact anally, and it was almost like a rape. It's like, I don't even want to go into that. That can be a whole nother video for you guys, but when I truly lost my virginity, it was whenever I was 14. We're best friends to this day. He's a great guy. And again, I'm going to keep saying unfortunately, I did not enjoy it. I had a lot of self-esteem issues due to what happened to me. Growing up, I was bullied very bad. And so fast forward, I'm going to just get into when I did start enjoying my sexuality. So I've always kept quiet about liking females. Back then, that wasn't really a thing. My family was very Christian, like my dad's side of the family. My dad could give a shit what I used to do. Like, he was a great father, always there for me to counsel me. He passed away April 27th, 2014, and yeah, so, but everybody else was very judgmental. My mother, excuse me, she really didn't care either, but she was going through her own stuff, and I had a lot of openness and time to explore myself as a teenager, so I had experiences on and off with girls growing up, just random, at parties, getting drunk and kissing girls and fingering girls and stuff like that. And that was growing up, 18, 19. It was only up until 2 years ago that I truly was like, you know what, I'm married. I'm starting to enjoy having sex again. My husband and I truly didn't enjoy, well, he enjoyed it, but I didn't until I finally just couldn't take it anymore. And I'm like, you know what, I'm tired of laying here. Like, just letting you enjoy yourself. I want to enjoy myself. I'm tired of doing it to myself, you know what I mean? So, one night my husband and I were cuddling, and I don't know what happened. Very interesting, but, slow. That is what my favorite thing in the world is I love slow, passionate fucking sex. And when I talk about that, I mean like straight up like like severely fucking slow. Like, that's what I don't know. That night we were, I think, on the couch. Or you know what? I take it all back. We were at a friend of mine's house, and if you're watching this, which I think you might, I told you about this, but what happened was we were staying the night at a friend's house, and we were on the couch, and he just, I don't know, my husband would just start kissing my neck, and it was real, like, slow, so we had to be quiet, and I guess that's what brought on the true, like, hot, like, oh shit, like, this is hot, like, we gotta be quiet, and it was just really, 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 really slow. Everything from just the slow licking of my neck to the slow movements of me reaching my hand around and touching him, and And then he put it, and I don't know what it is. I had an orgasm for the very, very first time in my life since I was around that time, 13. And it was so amazing. And I was like, I want to feel this way all the time. And unfortunately, it didn't happen all the time after that we had sex. But whenever I finally realized that, you know what, I'm 20, well, this was what, 3 years or 2 years ago? It had to be three because this was in 2014, right before my father died in April. So around February. And it was just amazing. And from then on out, we tried, this whole story is scattered, but I'm trying to like explain this to you guys in a way to get up to the point here. And from then on, I always wanted it slow, but it doesn't always happen that way, you know what I mean? My husband likes to go fast, or I sometimes like it rough, like I'm very into bondage and things like that. Unfortunately, my husband's not really into that. I mean, it's not like he's into it. It's like being married after so long. It's like it's so much fucking work, like literally with kids and everything. It's like you have to go somewhere when they're asleep, and you have to make sure you're far away from them. I like to yell a lot, very loudly, and it's not like I mean to. It's like, oh, really dramatic. And that's one thing that kept me from enjoying myself with self-esteem. Having body dysmorphia to a very severe extent, thinking that I'm bloated or my nipples are soft or something like that. But I actually read when you are truly turned on that your body, like a female, actually grasps with her vagina. Like, for example, like if a female is truly enjoying sex, she doesn't have to use her Kegel muscles to wrap around the male. So it's very interesting how that works, because having two children, I always felt very loose in a way, but I know that I'm not. It's just self-esteem. So I would feel I would feel him becoming very hard, and, me grasping around him, and that, I don't know, I guess it's just the male being turned on that turns me on. But finally releasing myself from that self-esteem issue gave me the most amazing, pleasurable experiences that I truly never believed could exist in life, ever. And I'll get more into that in a little bit, but basically, so I really am all over the place with this because it's very, number one, weird for me to talk about. This is my very first time talking about it. Number two, it's just, I don't know. But again, so going fast really didn't produce the O. So I realized that just slow, I don't know. So from there on out, I guess, recently, it's sad that I'm 26 and it's only up until now that I'm truly getting into my sexuality. Now, that's with males. With my husband, I love going slow. Now, my female experiences up past 18 were very seldom. We used to live in an area recently, about a year and a half ago, that we had a neighbor who, I am telling you right now, she just loved fucking. Like, she always would ask me to come over, like it was amazing. And then finally, one day, I spoke to my husband, and he was about it, and I don't know, I went over, and it was in the morning time, and her boyfriend at the time was there, and he's like, yeah, go for it, she's up there. Nobody gave a shit. Like, he didn't want to watch, nothing. Like, he was just like, yeah, go ahead, she's up there. And I remember going up, and it was my first true experience. Like, okay, I'm actually gonna have sex with this girl. She was asleep, and the plan was to surprise her, because she asked me the night before, I want to do this sometime, come on over, whenever you want. So I surprised her that morning. I went up, and I remember thinking in my head, I just want to do this really slow. And so I went in and I started kissing her neck, and she woke up and started kissing me, and it was really fucking passionate. And like, the feeling that I got was so much more than what a male could give me. And that's what kind of worries me a little bit with my bisexuality, because it's almost as if it's like, why am I enjoying this more? And I'll get into where I am now, but I was thinking at the time, why am I enjoying this more with a female? Like, am I gay? I love my husband, and I love having sex with him if I go slow, but why am I just enjoying this more with a female? So what ended up happening with her is the moment was so rough and passionate that the quickness with her was unexplainably fucking hot and amazing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so weird explaining this. I don't know. But from somebody who's faked their orgasms mostly all her life, even with my husband up until, like I said, about 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 2014, it's just very interesting because with her, I could tell that she came, and like she just, once she came, she kept going. And with a man, it's like I know some can keep going and stuff, but overall, once you have an orgasm, even with myself, when I have a true orgasm, I weaken. And I guess that's what I find so hot about the male orgasm, is because it's the most vulnerable moment in a man. Like the most vulnerable, weakest point of a male is whenever he's having an orgasm, and that's just my opinion. So watching a man orgasm is just the hottest thing in the world, you know what I mean? Because it's like whenever my husband orgasms, and I have his permission to talk about this, like trust me, he knows that this is for my Patreon and things like that, but when I watch him orgasm, I can feel his body tense and then release. And it's like, for my husband's very tough, do you know what I mean? And I don't mean that in like I'm gonna beat your ass tough. It's just like he was very much abused when he was younger physically by my stepmother's boyfriend. Used to beat his ass every day as a child. So he grew up having no emotion almost. Like it's a very sad situation, but and I'm not bringing that into sex, but knowing him as just a very closed, not very open person to fucking me or making love to me, and then whenever he comes, that feeling of him releasing and just becoming very vulnerable and open is just so beautifully hot to me. So I'll get into that in a minute. But back to the female version. So my neighbor and I, after that day, we both came. Like, it was incredible. It was my first true time with a woman, like, having sex since I was just... And you know what? I've never really had sex with a woman, even whenever I was little. I only did that to her whenever I was 13. She didn't do it back. But another girl, when I was 14, who was also my best friend, she did it back to me, but I was so nervous and scared that it felt amazing, but I really didn't reach that point like I did the first time without having any stimulation myself other than doing it to her. So anyway, I'm gonna smoke again, I'm sorry. It makes me feel more comfortable when I smoke. So again, this is a raw video, it's for Patreon. Like, I want to talk to you guys and I want your opinions. So her and I started truly like having a lot of female intercourse, and it was amazing every time. And I think altogether we had sex about 6 times. And again, I was thinking to myself, why am I just fucking going rough with this bitch? I don't mean that, but I'm thinking about it. I'm like, that was so fucking hot. It's like, why did I have sex with her and feel so many just sexual hot, like rough, like grabbing at each other, biting at each other, like animalistic tendencies. Like we used toys. I had her, like, oh my god. And there was another girl that we never had sex. We kissed a lot, and I guarantee if we would have had sex, she was a very severe alcoholic, and I know that she was never sober for the times that we kissed. It was about 3 times we kissed, but every time we did kiss, I did have feelings, like in regards to being turned on and stuff, but I truly never had an experience with her. She, like I said, she was a severe alcoholic. Right now she's in jail. Like, she was a very beautiful woman. She was very much older than me. I'm 24, she's going on, I think, 33 or 34, so she's a lot older and very more mature, and I'm not saying 30-something is, but one thing I would love to try. Now, my husband's very open with me and other females. I never really wanted to get him involved unless she was a full, strict lesbian, because there are some lesbians who will allow a man to be involved as long as she can strictly be with a woman. I'm very jealous, but because I like to have my cake and eat it too. Very weird. So, he's very open with me, so if I want to go and, be with a female, I can. So anyway, what was I getting at here with that? Shit, I forgot everything, but... Yeah, so basically the first time I really had sex with a woman was with my neighbor at the time. And unfortunately what happened was we had another neighbor who would cause a lot of problems with everybody on the street. I don't even want to get into the big drama situation. You know what I mean? Like, you guys have heard enough of that shit. Like, we'll save the pity parties for another day whenever I just cram it into one video so everybody can be like, what the fuck's wrong with her and everything like that. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed myself and I still do. Like, again, oh yeah, that's what I was saying. With older women, I'm so fucking nervous. Like, I would love to be with a woman maybe in her 40s up to early 50s. But I'm so fucking nervous. Like, I think that that would, oh my god. So there's this ex porn star, and I don't know why they call them stars. I think, in my opinion, I'll get to that someday. She lived in my town, and I'll give you the first name of her porn star name, and her name was Casey Chase. That's her porn star name, is Casey Chase. And there's a video online of her with an older woman. And Casey and I planned to meet up a long time ago. We never did. She was involved in drugs, I was involved in drugs. This was like back when I was really young. Like, I always talked about being with certain women, but I never got to be. And so what's really funny about that is I remember looking her up one night when I was turned on and my husband and I were fighting, and there was a video of her with a very much older woman. And the way that the older woman just dominated the younger girl, like, which was Casey, she was only like 24 at the time, but the age gap, I guess, where you're like in your 20s and you're just becoming like a true adult in regards to like life, and you have this older woman who's so experienced and dominating the fuck out of you, and it's just, watching that was so fucking hot to me, and I was like, I always wanted to try it, but I don't know, I think I'd pussy out too much. But that's something I would like my husband to watch, because I don't know, the thought of domination, that's why I have this tattoo. I've been involved in some sub and dom experience in the past, but nothing, I don't know, nothing like true getting tied up in all aspects and dominated the fuck out of, like, but again, it all refers back to being slow. I guess that's because I wasn't nurtured that much when I was younger, especially being molested. My parents chose not to get me counseling. It was a different time in the 90s, you know what I mean, in 99 and stuff, and so I don't blame them for that, but I was never truly nurtured. The boyfriends that I had growing up treated me terribly. I'm sure everybody's seen my nudes, and I'll be open about this, but I have I'm not saying a big labia, but I have like an exposed labia, and I remember my second boyfriend I ever had sex with, or my third, he was like, I remember him going around after he had sex with me, and he was like, she's loose and gross on the outside, and that destroyed me with men. Like, oh my god, man. And then I remember the internet started getting more popular, and I would get on and I would look up pictures of women, and I was like, but other women have this, why am I so gross? And then I would look up lesbian porn and be like, but they have exposed labias and they're having fun, you know? So how I figured out that I fully enjoy sex, the same experience with women as men, with my husband, like having orgasms and stuff. Now, it's very different with each gender, obviously. Now, whatever gender that may be, if you're a transgender male, I would love to be with you. Transgender female, I would love to be with you. I don't judge in gender. I don't know what that would be considered called. Now, forgive my ignorance, but I thought pansexual was just being bisexual, and I could give a fuck, because my sexuality is so all over the place. Like, if I could make you guys a video that would just totally be nothing but true loving all genders, because I love all genders, all body types with myself, you know what I mean? Because again, I was bullied so much when I was younger. It truly taught me to see the beauty in everything. Like, if you're a 500-pound female, like, come all over me, you know what I mean? Like, I love that stuff. I think it's truly beautiful. Like, I definitely don't discriminate in regards to that. So how I overcame the enjoying females more than males, actually, I don't want to say this in a way that sounds bad, because I was raped when I was younger, and I explained, well, I was molested whenever I was like 9 to 12 or 13, and then when I was 18, I was raped by a 48-year-old man, and that took away my complete older male fantasy. I now have it back, but we'll get into that. So I don't want to, alright, I was raped Truly, honestly. In fact, we are actually going in my past a lot, my husband and I, and going back farther, seeing different situations to where I actually probably was raped more than like 6 times in my life, but that's my fault for agreeing to have sex, and then once I started saying no. Now, how does that fall into the category of wanting to be raped? Have you guys ever heard of the fetish of a female paying a man to give like a 2 week notice? The woman just comes home, does her daily thing, she lives at home alone, and then a male breaks into her house voluntarily. A contract is signed. He'll break into her house and just rape the shit out of her, but she's agreed to it. So she can't just call the cops, even if she says no. Like, there's like maybe a certain amount of time she says no before he's like, okay, that was 6 times. We gotta stop. It's a very tight contract, it's very real. I remember I was like really enjoying being rough with that girl, my neighbor. So I was like, I don't really like being rough with my husband all the time. But I thought I truly have like a rape fantasy in a way, but it's like a secure fantasy. It's like I know who's coming in the house, but the women who sign these contracts don't know. Like, like they choose a body type, I think, and stuff like that. Like there's very, excuse me, a wide variety of different things to choose in regards to that, but this wasn't like that. So I remember this was actually last November, right before my kids came back, and I remember like my husband and I were fighting like almost physically, and I've always had that fantasy in my head where I was like, you know, I really would like him just to like fucking teach me a lesson and things like that, like, and I know I probably couldn't get off to it, but it's the thought of it that really got me, and I was like, I'd never get off to that in my life. And I remember we just, people don't like how I smoke my cigarettes because I'm like, do I even smoke them? So we were fighting pretty bad, like physically, just, you know what I mean, I was pushing him around and whatever, and he just got pissed. And I remember, I don't know what happened or what sparked it, but he grabbed my hair from the back, like to put me in a chokehold or something. Not in a chokehold, because I don't want to say that he hurt me, because he just wrapped his arm around like right here just to pull me back, to be like, stop fucking touching me. You know what I mean? That was back then. We've gotten counseling, it's great. But that day, he held me back, and I don't know what sparked it, but like when I pushed up against him, I guess it just totally brought on this like feeling between both of us. You know, we've been married for almost 6 years, you know what I mean? Now, we've almost been married for 6 years, and it's like, you just kind of know. So don't, whoever's like, oh no, he really raped you, no, it wasn't like that. It's like, when I pressed up against him, and he pressed up against me during that fight, and if you would have seen the fight, you would have been like, what the fuck is he doing, and why are they doing this now? Like, he just kind of held me, you know, choked me behind him, and I pressed up against him, and then it just started. Like, he started, I was wearing sweatpants, he pulled down my sweatpants, he pushed me down, like, I had no say in that situation. But it was so fucking hot that I remember it only took him to just slip it in just a little bit, and I just went. And that was literally just incredible. You know what I mean? Like, it and he kept going, and like I don't know if he knew. I don't know, because I was like yelling and stuff like that, but it was kind of painful. It was so rough, but it was so fucking animalistic with him. That, you know how I explained with the girl, that I literally was like, "Oh my god." And he like, I just remember like, and then I don't know, I feel like the feeling in my throat, cuz I'm like, where is he? But you know what I mean. So, I'm getting all red because I'm getting embarrassed. But yeah, like he just kept going, and I remember, like when, oh yeah, I didn't explain when I was earlier. When I have an orgasm, like I relax and stuff, but with females, like you can just keep coming and coming and coming. So whenever, it's almost like you're so sensitive the first time you come that anything just brings it on again. And that's pretty much what kept happening. Like he kept being rough, and like I'd already come and I had no chance to relax. So I was struggling and moving around, and he just kept going and going, and I kept coming and coming. And I'm not sure to this moment if he knew or not, whether or not I was truly, but I don't know, it just turned him on like even more, me trying to struggle or something. And yeah, that was incredible. And whenever he came, he like threw me down after he was ready and blew it on. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, and that's about it. And that's whenever I was like, holy shit, there is a true feeling I can have with him, you know, whether it has to be that way or not, the animalistic feeling that I had with that female, I now have with my husband. So it's like it clicks almost. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got over that. I don't know if any of this is helping you guys at all, but I'm probably going to cut off this video here. I just wanted to explain some of my sexual experiences and how I basically came into females, so I can just sum it up for you right now. That's what people really don't like about my videos, is that I'll take fucking, as you can see, 30 minutes just explaining shit, not getting to the point, and then at the very end I'll sum it up and everybody's like, you could have fucking summed this up in like literally 20 minutes, like, or in like 5 minutes, why did you do this? So to sum it up, I was molested when I was 9 to like 12, 11, whatever. Like I said, the years vary because it goes back. His name is Jared. He's currently in prison for almost raping and killing a girl. Jared Castania, if you want to look him up. Public, whatever. He's in jail, so it's not like anybody can go and rip him a new asshole, but that ruined a lot of my sexual issues. I've always kind of looked at girls, you know what I mean, but nothing severe. When I was like 13 or whatever, my best friend and I offered to do stuff to her. It gave me very much pleasure, and she didn't reciprocate. That's fine. It wasn't like that, you know, it wasn't a bad experience. She just didn't know, and you know. Followed by the next girl, she was my best friend also. She reciprocated the favor and stuff. Followed by growing older. Lost my virginity when I was 14. Didn't really enjoy it. We're still best friends to this day. Like, he made it very comfortable for me, although I didn't enjoy it. Then my third boyfriend that I had told me I was gross, ruined my self-esteem, and then, like I said, growing older, kissed girls at parties, did stuff like that. It felt good, but, you know, to them it wasn't anything. And then truly had sex with a female a year and a half or 2 years ago whenever I lived in my old neighborhood. But the other neighbor caused a lot of problems for the neighborhood, so we had to move out of there. And then had animalistic behaviors with her, and I was like, why don't I feel it with my husband? Am I gay, even though I love my husband? And then got into a huge fight, pretty much had my rape fantasy with him, although it wasn't rape at the same time because I really wanted it once I pressed up against him, and that's about it, you guys. So, if you want more details, like, on how this all came about, please let me know, because literally, I'm not even kidding you guys, like, I don't want to be, like, the person who just, what the fuck, you know what I mean? And again, I'm truly sorry about this whole Patreon thing. Just, maybe I'll just cancel Patreon and make, like, a YouNow or something, because you can get paid without anybody paying, I think, going on live. But it's, like, more people, and I like talking to you guys, like, just real close. Like, this is my very first up in your face video. Please continue the ideas. Like, I'm very personal with you guys on there. Like, I talk to you guys on there compared to my channel where I can only respond to a few people at a time. So I hope you guys dug this video, and I'm very open. So I know that my stalker is actually on Patreon right now. I can't block him, unfortunately, because with Patreon, you're donating $1. So that content you're donating to, you have the right to harass me, fucking post mean shit. I mean, I can delete it, but at the same time, he's been paying me $15, like, since March or May, one of the two. It's the M month, but, and he gets on here and he always posts, like, you owe me $1,700, which, if you just ever want to see that situation, just go to my stalker story. It explains everything. I don't owe him any money, and he's gonna watch this and he's probably gonna take it and show it to everybody. I'm so over it. I'm very open about my sexual experiences. Now, there's been thousands in between that. I have had a lot of partners, and I'm very blessed not to have ever contracted anything. I get tested actually twice every year, which is probably not a good thing. Since I go to the clinic, they do testing twice a year for HIV and hepatitis, and then with my just yearly health checkups, they do everything, like with the gynecologist and stuff. Usually you're only supposed to go, I think, like 2 years, but I go every year, just to make sure. But yeah, since my uterus is tilted back to the side, I'm more prone to, you know, infections and things like that, like UTIs. And so I have to go every year anyway to get checked and just make sure that everything's good. So yeah, you guys, again, I'll see you guys soon. Let me know with the exam video. I'd really enjoy to do that, but I just don't know how I would feel on camera being like, ugh. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.